should you buy a house right now?
Man, there's a saying.
I already know what you're gonna say. You said this last time, I think.
Did I?
I think so.
I didn't hear it.
I probably did. It was it's like the best time to buy a house was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those where it's not a short term gain. It's one of those where you sit on it, and eventually, even if you don't make the equity that you wanted to make in it within year 1 or year 2, it's gonna happen. It has to happen. It's just property value. It's what it does.
Hey guys, it's your host Alvaro from the False Line Podcast. I wanted to quickly interrupt the show before you guys got started into an amazing episode. I just wanted to say thank you for everything. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, for the subscribes, for the likes, for the shares, for the comments, everything for you that you guys to show us support on the channel or our streaming platform. And I just wanted to ask you guys if you guys could leave us a review if you're on Spotify or if you're on Apple Podcasts. Give us a review. That'll help us reach more people and, you know, entertain and educate more people. If you're on YouTube, give us a like, subscribe to the channel, comment to our channel. Help us get out there in the algorithm and just help us get more noticed. And guys, let's get into the episode. This one's good. It's amazing. You guys are going to be entertained. I hope you guys enjoy the episode. And again, thank you for everything. Peace and love. Hey guys, welcome back to the False Line Podcast here with episode I think this is episode 186 or 180. Do you know by any chance?
186.
Oh, 186 is right there on the whiteboard.
Yep.
We're here with Cameron. Welcome back again.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me, brother.
You were here at episode 151, so after the 1 year. And today you're here to talk about, you know, the housing market, just the market in general, and just get some more insights from a realtor, bro. I like to think a good realtor in Waco. So,
I appreciate it.
We're here with that. And I guess we'll just start, bro. You said you was coming off from baseball practice?
Yeah. Well, today we had the boys had practice, but we wound up, since we made it to playoffs, we had the bracket choosing tonight. So we wound up getting the second spot. So we play Monday, 6 o'clock. Okay. Anybody like to watch 8U baseball?
Where y'all playing at?
Out in Mart at their fields.
Okay.
And so we win at 6, then we go on to the second round at 8. But if we lose, then we play the next day, Tuesday at 6.
Oh, for real?
So we wound up ending second in our division for like the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
We wound up going 8-2. So we had a pretty solid season. So, but these are the best of the best. So
for real?
Yeah. Who we
playing
right now?
Little League or what?
Yes, Little League. So we play La Vega. I'm a coach
Mm-hmm.
for the La Vega Little League 8U. My son's 7, so he's in that division.
You coaching, aren't you? What you doing?
I coach. Yeah. So it's me. I'm the head coach. But I really like to thank all of my coaching staff as a head coach because we all vibe real good, and all the kids kind of listen to us equally. So we got 4 head coaches, really, but it's all straight.
Wait, how long you been coaching?
So I helped assistant coach last year for T-ball, and then my son moved up to 8U this year, and then I kind of helped coach on and off from my daughter. She started T-ball this year.
Yeah.
So it's really my second real solid year coaching. So what's crazy is growing up, I would never think that I would ever be able to coach. Like my just ability to work with kids and everything. I was like, man, I could never coach. But I love it, man. It's great out there just watching them excel from where they are right now compared to where we were the first or second practice.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they've come a long way.
And
it's definitely, it's not because of, me solely. It's because of just the coaching staff and who we have and how, the kids and all of us just vibe. It's nice to see them do that.
That's cool. So why do you say you just never consider yourself coach? Is it just because, like, the patience?
I think it's the patience, and it's just, like teaching. And, like, other positions that I've had career-wise, like, people have wanted me to be, like, the team lead or, like, the mentor. And it's just I'm very, like, it's got to be my way. Yeah. And that may not be the textbook way to teach it. Yeah. And it's just, like, teaching somebody to do the way that you do it compared to, the black and white version. It can be tough. And so, for me, it's just I just want to be in my own lane and just grinding it out. But I've learned, being a team lead in real estate. We have 6 agents under us. Right now, it's kind of using that role and just kind of doing it with the kids too, just on a different, scale type of thing. So
that's cool, bro.
Straight.
And you like it? You like coaching?
Yeah. I like winning.
Yeah.
And so whenever we lose, man, you can ask my wife. Whenever we lose, I am mad.
For real?
And so I'll be in the car. I'm just contemplating, man. This play, that play, we could have done this better. I'm down on myself for at least 2 days.
For real.
Just like constantly reminiscing over it. But it's like I got the competitive edge. And
yeah.
So, but other than that, yeah, I love it. I hope we'll bring home that trophy this year. So,
what kind of trophy is it? Like,
so I think they have first and second place rings. Like they get like kind of like a state ring.
I was about to say, y'all get a ring?
Yeah, I know they upgraded nowadays.
What do you play? Like, how does it like? If it's Little League, let's say like, because I don't understand. So you're like La Vega, right?
Yeah.
Is there like only one La Vega team, or isn't there like
No.
a few?
So there was 3 La Vega teams this year, but then we play in what's called the Brazos Valley League, which is like the big association, and so we're just one organization in that full league, and so like we play Riesel, Groesbeck, Axtell, Mejia teams, and so it's kind of all the surrounding Central Texas area. We all pull together. However many kids sign up within that age group. We just had a lot for La Vega. That's why we were able to pull 3 teams.
Oh, I see.
But there's like a couple. Like I think Groesbeck maybe only had like 2, just because maybe their signups were low or something like that. So it's a pretty good turnout. They wound up having American League, National League, and then they called it like the World League. And so there was 3 different leagues of everybody with 5 or 6 different teams. So there was quite a bit of people. And so now we're in the playoffs, which is the best 6.
Yeah.
So
like I know this is like probably, I don't know, but you know how like there's a Little League World Series?
yeah.
How does that go about?
So that's kind of like what we're in right now.
Uh-huh.
And so if we win, we move on to the next round. We're in a 2-round or a 2-game elimination bracket right now. So we lose 2 games, we go home, we're done. But if we win and we just finish through, like we're in district, and I believe after district, then we go to region, and then region to state. And so we got to win this whole tournament to go on to the next. And then we start playing people, because right now the district is just kind of like Groesbeck, Axtell, everybody in this vicinity.
Yeah.
But then if we take the top seed and win all of that, then it gets bigger into the region. And then if we win that, then it gets bigger into the 8U state teams all around Texas. So it could be pretty big, but we got to bring them bats and we got to field it. So it's not going to be easy for sure.
But that's crazy that I didn't know that there was a thing like that for baseball. Like where you can like play it.
It's an ongoing thing. It's like you wouldn't think that at this age for the kids. My son's 7, so we have kids on our team anywhere from 7 and 8. But at that very young age, but we're teaching them to be very competitive. Which is kind of a whole different subject, but I'm kind of on the fence with that. You want them to still be kids and enjoy things, but you want them to kind of. That's where they're going to grow, because that next level is coach pitch or is kid pitch. We're in coach pitch right now, which is a completely different animal to where now the kid is pitching it rather than us, the coaches.
Oh, right now it's coach pitch.
Right now we're in coach pitch, yeah.
Oh, I didn't. I didn't even know that.
Yeah. So 7 and 8 is coach pitch, and then like 9, 10, and up to like 14 is all kid pitch, because then right after 14, then they play in high school, and that's all kids. So, So
interesting.
One more year of coach pitch, and then it's kid pitch. If however long he plays.
Yeah.
So
you pitch for your team, or you pitch for the other team?
No, one of my other coaches pitches, and then I'm the third base coach.
I couldn't do that, bro. Because if I was the pitcher, I'd be like for the other team, I'd be slamming balls.
No. So we pitch for our team.
Oh, okay. I thought you pitched for the other team. I was like, bro, yeah, right. If that was me, I'd be throwing fastballs.
Yeah. No, well, how they do it is, the kid only gets 5 pitches, and so you get 3 swinging strikes, and then you're out. But like, even if you throw a ball, like no matter if it's just a terrible throw or you throw it right down the middle and he doesn't swing, that's one of the 5 pitches. And after 5, he's done. So even if he only swung one time and missed, and then just stood there at the plate and did nothing for the other 4, he's out.
You got do underhand?
No, it's overhand.
Overhand.
Yeah, it's 40. I think it's like 42 feet. So it's a good stretch. Away. I think college is like 60 or 70 feet. So we're really not too far off from a collegiate level at a 7 and 8 year old.
Yeah.
I
wonder what who dictates if a ball's thrown too fast or.
Yeah, no, we don't have any like speed caps or anything. So of course we try and gauge our kids. Yeah, we're not gonna ping it because we're coaching to our kids, so we kind of adapt and kind of know how our kids swing. And kind of what they like, where they like the ball and whatnot. Yeah. So DJ, our pitching coach, he's real good at knowing the kids' strengths and whatnot. So we keep him on the mound. So.
Interesting.
Huh.
So
I've always been interested about coach pitch, but I've never really understood it. But it makes sense.
Yeah.
I never played baseball or anything, so
no.
or because I have asthma during the springtime, so I could have never played baseball. I only played basketball.
Oh, gotcha.
So I don't know how baseball works, but
Now that's one thing I really wish I would have played in high school. And I was so big on track for some reason. I loved it. I was fast. I ran track my freshman year in college.
what'd you run?
The 400 and the 4x4. And so I enjoyed it, and I was pretty decent at it.
Well, you said this in high school and college.
No, I ran track in high school and in college.
Damn.
But what I should have done, because track was at the same time as baseball, so I really couldn't do both. And for some reason, I thought I was going to be some Olympian. I'm 5'8". Come on now. I'm not going to be an Olympian. I'm running 49s in the 400. Olympians running 42s.
Damn.
So it's not happening.
Yeah.
But like baseball, it don't matter really how tall you are. If you can play the position and you can bat, that could really, escalated into something. Because I play baseball right now at Riverbend for like adult league.
Yeah.
It's like underhand, slow pitch, but it's fun. It's competitive.
I bet it's competitive though.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
This kid, people always trying to fight and whatnot, but we get out there and do work. So
Yeah.
it's fun.
Well, let's get into it, bro. Let's talk about this housing stuff.
Crazy, bro.
Yeah. I know. You did you ever have a house?
Have I ever owned one?
Yeah.
No.
No.
I've never owned
Not
a
yet,
house.
brother. We'll
Yeah.
get to that.
Not yet.
But
Marketing event.
when did you start, I guess, seeing, because I want to do like a timeline thing, because that's where I'm like really curious about. When did you start seeing like the housing market like kind of pop? Or what were indicators for you were like, oh snap, like the housing market looks like it's popping right now?
Yeah. Well, a big indicator was me and my clients are going in 10, 15,000 over asking price, and we're getting completely beat out. I was shook. I was like, what?
So like explain a little bit more on that. Is it so like, let's say give me an example how that works.
Yeah, so say the house is, you look it up on Zillow or whatnot. You
Yeah.
see the house is 200,000, right? And so you kind of you fill out the listing agent, the agent representing the seller. Hey, how have showings been going? Do you have any offers on the table? And it's like they either tell you like, hey, no, we don't have anything. Bring an offer, and we love to look at it and negotiate.
Mm-hmm.
But there'll be times where the property's on the market 1 or 2 days, and they got 10 offers.
Sheesh.
And so if you're the listing agent, you're telling me that you have 10 offers, well, obviously my client needs to go in at their strongest possible offer. There's no room to negotiate because we're trying to beat out the other 10 to win the house. And so that's what's driving prices. Because it's pretty much whoever is going to net the seller the most, you're going to win.
Did they tell you what those offers were?
No,
they don't tell you what the offer. That's the trick.
Yeah, what I tell my clients, it's like you're playing darts in the dark. You're shooting and you hope that you stick. We got to go in with it as strong as we can. We pull comps, we look at kind of market trends on what that property may be worth later on, so that way you're not overpaying for stuff. And they have government regulations like appraisals and stuff like that nowadays. Or that been going on for years, but that kind of helps make sure that somebody isn't overpaying, so they're not, negative in a house. You just kind of like in the car, business and whatnot, so that where you're not pulling off the lot, you're already negative, 10 grand.
Oh, he's still selling cars.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of that same thing, just on a different scale.
Yeah, that's kind of I was curious about, because now you have like, we don't really do it anymore, but we had like addendums, where like market adjustments, where you marked the price of the car over what the sticker cost is because of the market.
Gotcha.
And people were paying it, and
that's the same thing.
I was wondering if houses, but are people listing their houses for more than the market value, or they're
yeah, they are. Because the thing is that whenever you're a seller, you don't want to leave anything on the table, right?
Yeah.
And so there's really two big tricks that a lot of people are doing, where they're looking at the market value, and they're either they're marking it just a little under that value to draw in a bunch of attention and let everybody bid each other up, or they're marking it 10, 15% over that market price and just seeing if they can get it. So a lot of times it's all going to depend on, the seller's need. If they're in a position where, they would like to sell, if they can get the money for it, then they will sell. And then there's ones that they have to sell.
Yeah.
And so for the ones that are having to sell, they're kind of trending towards that. Okay, let's go a little bit under, so that way we draw in that attention and we can just bid everybody up.
Yeah.
But
sorry to cut you off. What's a situation where you have to sell a house?
Yeah, job relocation. Maybe you're living here in Waco, but you just got promoted in Dallas and you got to move there. well, that's going to make you sell your house.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah. I mean,
okay.
there's a lot of different reasons why you want to sell your house. And, unfortunately, a lot of people went through like forbearance programs during COVID where they would like put their mortgage payments on hold because, maybe they got fired from their job or something like that. And they just didn't have the money in order to make their payments. And so now I think there were like, you could do it for 12, maybe 24 months. But now that COVID is a year and a half, 2 years old, those payments are now coming due, and all these people are 2 years behind. And so they're like, well, what can I do?
Do they pay that monthly or they got paid all at one go?
Yeah, so it's whatever kind of agreement that they set up with their current lien holder. But a lot of times they either just tack it onto the back of the mortgage as additional payments that are due, or some of them they call that year or 2 years, whatever it is, full lump sum due. And it's like, if that's the case, do you have 2 years to pay right then and there?
That's
you may not, and that can cause you to have to sell, because then that's just a second lien on the property, where once you sell, then it is paid off.
Okay. So then, like, I guess the indicators were like, you were like shooting these offers, and it's like, hey, we got all these other offers too.
Yep.
And then that's kind of where you're like, I guess.
Yeah, it's like where we normally would see that a normal 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,500 square feet is sitting on the market anywhere 2 to 3 weeks. It's sitting on the market 2 to 3 hours.
Wow.
That's that fast. It's up and gone. Gone.
Is that because, I mean, obviously it was COVID, but what was it? Was it just people moving here massively? Was it
that? But I mean,
or was a scarcity thing? What was going on?
So like inventory is just super low, meaning that, I mean, it's just kind of like anything that you're trying to go buy. If there's not a lot of it, it's a rare commodity, so it makes it more expensive. Just like diamonds. There's only so many diamonds. That's why they're so expensive to buy them. And so whenever in a housing inventory, whenever there's so limit amount of houses, but you still have a huge abundance of buyers, now instead of having 2 or 3 buyers for one house, you're having 7 or 8 buyers for one house. Jesus. And now that just doubled the amount of offers that you have to try to beat out.
Yeah.
So
do you ever tell your clients, like, they tell you, okay, we're gonna make this offer, and you just like flat out like, bro, that's not enough. Like, that's not good enough.
Yeah. So I mean, pretty much they lean on me a lot, which is great. That's my role as your agent. I'm here to help educate you on what we need to do in order to get that deal, secure and whatnot. Yeah. And so they'll come at me with some numbers sometimes, and I'm just like, hey, we really maybe need to reevaluate that. At the end of the day, I'm always going to do what my clients want me to do. If they want me to go in at a certain price and it is what it is, then okay. I'll always give a little bit of feedback, say, hey, these are maybe my suggestions that we can try. But ultimately, if that's what they want to do, then that's what they want to do.
And you only have one shot to make an offer. So if you make an offer and then they're like, somebody beat that offer, do you have a chance to double back?
Depending if that listing agent will counter you or not. A lot of times whenever they're getting all these offers, they just say, we call it your highest and best, where you're going in full-fledged 100% initially. We're not going to renegotiate. We're just going to look at everybody's best, bring it now, and that's it. So
interesting. Yeah. So when did you start seeing like that pattern happening? Was it like early 2020, mid 2020, 2019?
No, not 2019. It was probably
like COVID really took place, I think, like March 2020. Like everything shut down. NBA shut down. March Madness completely gone.
Yeah. So not during that time. It was like as we started coming out of that, because people were getting their jobs back. Rates were still really, really low, which was helping out.
So rates were already low before COVID.
Yes, they were low, and they stayed relatively low throughout the whole process. Rather, really up until probably about 6 months ago did they really start.
So about the same as the car business. It sounds like it's the exact same as the car business.
Yeah, I think real estate and the car industry probably just go neck and neck for sure.
Yeah. So then
probably about a year or so.
Okay.
We've been going on this crazy train.
That's crazy. So then, I mean, how was it? How long were you selling houses? I forgot.
So this upcoming September will be 4 years.
So you were doing it for like a good, I think 2 years then, right? By then?
By the last time I was on the show?
No, like when COVID started.
Oh, yeah. So I've been in since 2018.
So like, how was that like, I guess, before COVID, and then now you got all like this madness happening? How did basically the clientele change? Like the way of you selling changed? Like what changed?
A little bit. The thing is, whenever in 2018 to 2020, pretty much when COVID was, I was fresh in the business.
Yeah.
So it's one of those where you come in, you don't really know the industry too much, to begin with. But luckily, I had a lot of people still wanting to use me. And so, like, my first year, my wife and I did 50 deals, our first full calendar year. Damn. And then the next year, we did 113.
Yeah, I know you were saying that.
So we've always really cranked them out. And then we did 103 last year. And then this Thursday coming up, we close on number 55 of 2022. So we're still on pace to do another 100 for this year. And so I've never really slowed down.
Yeah.
But for other agents, I have seen them, start really strong. COVID killed a lot of agents. The ones that aren't out there grinding. Like the ones that aren't out there doing what me and my team is doing on a day-to-day basis, they're getting weeded out because they're not getting their clients' offers accepted, and their clientele is just going down, or the clientele that they had isn't being able to get approved for as much now because of the rates are more. So where before maybe they were getting a 2-3% rate and approved for 250, well now your rate's 6%. Well now you're probably only gonna be approved for 200. So that's 50 grand less on a house. So then if you're having to buy less because you can only afford less, and then you're having to over market or put in offers on properties, now you'll have to be looking at properties that are like 175, 180 to be able to go 20 over what your max approval is, where before you could look at houses that were 220, 230 and then put in a 250.
So what made the difference in, like, for example, you're saying you've seen COVID kill a lot of realtors. What was like a realtor that was out there grinding, for example, you and your team versus someone who's not? What are the differences there? Like, are you just not calling the bank enough? What are you not doing right?
So I mean, the big thing is follow up. Touching base with past clients. I do a lot of just text messages. I'll go through my prior closing sheet that I have and just reach out to past clients that I've had. See how they're doing. See if they have any friends or family that are looking to buy or sell. Because it's those people that you've already built a relationship with that are going to refer you. So referrals are great. They're probably at this point about 35-40% of my entire business.
Damn.
So in 1 year, if I do 100 deals, 30 to 40 of them just came from past clients. So I'm only having to resell myself to 60 people, which is quite a lot. Yeah. But imagine if I only had that 60, where I always was chasing another one. It's all about chasing another one, but then following up and getting another two that you didn't really have to do. Yeah. It's kind of like basketball, right? Somebody can throw you the ball and you can shoot it and make it, but you always want to get those assists. You want people to help you, score the point rather than you have to go driving in and get it yourself every single time. So.
Yeah. That's wild.
So what's the national average? Because you said like you were like 100 on pace for like 100 something this year. What's the national average for like agents per year?
Honestly, it's really low. I think it's really because there's millions and millions of
it's a flooded market. Yeah.
And it's some people just have their real estate license just to say that they have it.
Yeah.
But I think the average is anywhere from like 13 to 20
a year.
Wow.
I was going to say 100 sounds really freaking high for a year, but that's good. I was just curious. I was like, damn, is that normal? Or is that like...
it's an everyday grind. We average anywhere from like 8 to 12 a month.
That's like the national average to sell cars in a month.
Yeah.
It's eight a month is a national average. So selling 8 houses a month is insane to me. That's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bigger
That's a lot.
It's a lot of houses. Yeah.
It is,
shit. So, did you see it as an opportunity then when the market started shifting like that?
Yeah, no, it definitely is, because that just made me want to market and grind harder, because I knew that some agents that didn't have the funds in order to help secure themselves throughout that COVID time. Money and resources, if there weren't closings, a lot of agents had to wind up to go get jobs.
Damn.
Because they weren't getting the closings. And so that means that whoever they were going to be working with, those buyers, those sellers, they're now opportunities for me to capture that business.
Yeah. So did you start off at a certain brokerage, or did you just kind of like do your own thing from the get-go as soon as you got your license? Yeah,
so Texas requires you to be a sales agent with a brokerage for 4 years before you can apply for your own brokerage license, which is what I'm wanting to do.
You better hit it,
coming up in September. Yeah. And so I'm with Central Realty right now. So
Okay.
it's a little small mom and pop brokerage out in Robinson.
Okay. I was curious because I didn't know. I always see stuff like ads for like Keller Williams. They'll pay for your schooling, and I knew there was some kind of contract. I just didn't know it was 4 years.
likely.
But
yeah, so that's just the Texas Real Estate Commission requires you to at least be a sales agent for 4 years before you can apply for your brokerage, because they want you to get that experience. You have to have a certain number of sales under your belt, which isn't really a astronomical number at all.
Yeah.
But it's they want to make sure that you know what you're doing, because once you're a broker and you open your own brokerage, then you're sponsoring agents under you, and then you're responsible for them. So it's like they want to make sure that you know your stuff before you start bringing on all these agents, and then all this craziness is going on.
Because 4 years it's not a long time, but it's kind of a while to be kind of under somebody else.
Agency.
Yeah.
It is.
Kind of makes sense. So you said that.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
There's a lot of moving parts. Like, just like in one single real estate transaction, there's anywhere from 20 to like 30 different hands it touches between both agents, the lender, appraiser, inspector, title companies usually have, the escrow officer, their assistant, surveyors. There's literally probably almost 25 different jobs that just go into one transaction.
So how long does one deal, like on average, one deal take? So you said like 8 to 12 a month. I imagine that's between you and like, who all do you work with? Like on your team, you have like how many people on your team?
That's just mine and my wife's individual stats.
Oh my!
Yeah. So my team.
Okay, so how long does one deal take then? So I guess you're working like multiple deals at any given time.
Always working multiple. Yeah.
Okay.
So just one. So if me and you were going to go look at houses right now, it would take anywhere from about 30 to 45 days to close. So you're always working that pipeline ahead of time.
Okay.
So it's like I have a pipeline already built for July and August. So I'm always 2-3 months ahead.
Okay.
So that way, if anything happens, I know that I'm getting checks.
Yeah.
I don't get paid a single dollar until we close and fund.
Yeah.
So and anything can happen from start to finish. So it's like you got to have those that pipeline.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you gonna be starving.
Damn.
That's crazy, bro. 8 to 12 a month.
This guy's still shook.
That's nuts, bro.
The guy's killing it, bro.
That's crazy. Like, it's not crazy in the car business, but like 10, 8 is the national average. I just couldn't imagine.
I mean, what do you normally do in the car?
What do you mean? Like
Average.
a month?
Yeah.
Like 7 to 17 is my average. When I first started, when I was a lot hungrier, it was more like 20 plus, but now it's like 15, 17. But that in this market, that's like everything. People are just paying a lot more money than they used to. So
it's where you're kind of making it up on the back end.
Yeah.
The units may be down, but the volume's still
Yeah,
there.
exactly. So that's why I'm like, dude, 15 cars is a lot. And there's only like probably 4 or 5 salesmen that average over 10 a month. And then we have 20 salesmen. So
Where you at?
do what?
What car dealership?
Oh, Alan Samuels.
Oh.
Yeah, same place he
Cool,
used to
cool.
work. Yeah.
Sweet.
So I don't know. It's just crazy because I want to do real estate. That's what I want to do. I don't want to be in the car
Yeah,
business.
Maria.
Yeah. She used to work with us.
She works under me.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Okay.
So she's one of my agents. Yeah.
I love Maria. She's cool. She actually came by the dealership like 2 weeks ago trying to sell her dad's truck. Anyways, it don't matter.
And then my boy Robert Graves was there.
Robert Graves?
Robert.
Yep. I bought a Charger.
No. He's saying that Robert Graves was at Alan Samuels.
Oh, I was like, I thought he was doing accounting.
Yeah, he's
but
doing
okay, I
accounting
thought
now.
you meant like he's there doing real estate now.
Oh, no,
I was like, that's crazy.
he's doing accounting, doing his thing.
Oh,
Yeah,
you
so
bought a Charger from him though?
Uh-huh. That's
Okay.
my boy. I helped him buy a house.
Okay, cool.
So.
He bought a house?
A while back though, right?
Bought it, sold it, helping him again. Yeah, no, they're
Nice.
They're homies for life. So
Yeah,
they're
he
cool.
comes by the dealership a lot actually. Like
Really?
still, like probably once a week just to cut up.
Just
Yeah,
to chill.
yeah. But yeah, so I was just curious. 8 to 12 is a lot because I've had family in real estate. I still do have family in real estate. They've always told me to do it, but they've never gone over the numbers with me. I don't know what they do, but they've done it for a long time. So I imagine they're doing okay.
Oh yeah.
But 8 to 12 months just seems kind of nuts to me.
Yeah, I mean, and
Yeah.
my agents under me, some of them they're averaging 3 to 6 or so.
And that's still pretty good though.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
I mean it's great because ultimately, I mean if you can close one a month, that's 12. That's 12 in a year. That's
Yeah.
the national average right
Yeah.
there. But it always comes down to volume, because we get paid a percentage of the sales price. Which it can always kind of be a little bit different. Won't go too much into it, but just know that the more the sales price, typically the more the check.
Right.
And so you can have one deal for $1 million, or you can have 5 deals for $100,000. and you're gonna make more off that one deal. So yes, units are good because typically more units, more volume. But if you just have 1 or 2 units that are high producing volume, you're set.
Yeah.
You know? So it all goes into volume.
I guess market's booming. Everything's going good. You could say. I mean, car business was popping. I mean, housing market was popping.
Yep.
When did you start it to see, I guess, like kind of plateau or like just kind of become like a norm thing? Like it was just like, okay, this is it for right now.
Yeah.
Because I mean, eventually that changed.
Probably about 3 to 4 months into whenever it was happening.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so say it started happening a year and a half ago. So probably about a year, we just been riding it out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's the norm. We know we got to come in strong. You know, whenever we're representing buyers, and you know now, maybe like from today, backtrack 30, maybe 45 days, things have kind of slowed down, you can call it, but really not even, because what rates are now, what everybody's saying, you know, rates are so high, rates are so crazy. Rates right now are the pretty much the same, if not even a little bit better than when they were when we first got in the business in 2018.
Oh, I did want to ask you about that. What was the rates like back like
when
in 2018,
when I first got in, I think it was like anywhere from like 4.5 up to maybe 7, and that's kind of where they're at right now.
Yeah, I think people got spoiled over COVID, bro.
Yeah, so whenever they shot
rates,
to 3 and below, you know, that's abnormal.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make any sense why people are freaking out when something was abnormal, when this is the actual normal.
Yeah.
You know, if you backtrack to, I think I was reading an article either earlier today or yesterday, like 1975, there was an ad in the paper for rates for 14.3%, and that was a special. You know? But that's, I mean, houses were 100,000, not 300,000. So things change, but it's like for me, there's not really much to worry about. It's a huge transaction. You always want to, you know, consult with your heart, consult with your gut, you know, do things with not impulse buy, because this is a huge purchase that you're locked in for. You know, it's a 30-year mortgage. Yes, you can sell it, you know, sell the property and whatnot, but you don't want to sell and be negative and have to owe to sell your house, you know. So you always, it's a business decision that you need to ensure that you're making the right moves. And ultimately, that's what my position as your agent is to do, is to, you know, make sure to educate you on what it is that you're about to do, and make sure that it is the best move for you.
So when you start to see it plateau, I guess, do you see it as like when it started to, a lot of people like to think, even like myself, just from going off social media, the news, the internet, like it took a decline. For you, like, did you see a decline then, or did you see it like slow down, or when? I
mean, things have slowed down a little bit, but it's one of those where I adapt to the slowdown. So it's like, if we're slowing down on this aspect, then I'm gonna pick up somewhere else to make that back. So, you know, my wife does a lot of flips, and so, you know, I'll hit the market a little bit harder to see if I can find any deals, because maybe, you know, 90 days ago, maybe there was a house on the market for 100,000 that really should only be on the market for like 60, 65. That's still just sitting. So now we're able to, you know, I'm trying to do that behind the scenes research, and then let her know, like, hey, you know, this has been on the market a while. We can probably get it on a really good deal. So if I'm slacking on, not really slacking, but, you know, if I'm having a slight decrease on my side, because I do a lot of the helping with buyers and sellers, then I'll help push her business, because she's the one doing the flips, and so that way, you know, our money is always doing good, you know, and whatnot. So we kind of have that niche and that edge where we're able to bounce off of each other, which really helps and is nice, to where some don't. Where it's like, if all you're doing is helping people buy and sell, and all of that just kind of just slows down, and you don't have another stream of income, that can be tough.
Yeah.
And so we'll get something for low, and then, you know, renovate it, you know, sparingly and whatnot, how we need to ensure that we're going to get that gain that we want. Because ultimately, people are always going to have to buy a house, you know, whether they're moving here or they have to downsize because they can't afford the house that they're in, or whatever the case may be. Somebody's always going to need a place to live, and not everybody wants to rent. You know, and even rent prices are on the increase. And so if we can provide, you know, a solid product to somebody, to where we're eating good, they're getting a house, and, you know, we're just this full circle, right? And we're just gonna keep on doing that.
Yeah. So you see, I guess, the market change. What changes? Prices change, interest rate changes.
Well, with rates changing, that means that people don't qualify for as much. You know, because if they're approved for 300,000 at a 3% rate, well, if that rate goes up, that means that their sales price would have to go down because that monthly payment. You know, so people are only approved. They call it their DTI, their debt to income ratio. So you only have a certain amount of debt to income ratio based on your income, and if you have any current liabilities like car payments, student loans, just credit card debt, stuff like that. So all of that plays into a factor of what your max approval would be. And so with a lower rate, then you can get approved for more. Higher rate, you're going to be less. So,
and do you have any questions going off that?
Well, I was going to ask you about the flipping thing. Mm-hmm. So do you think the better money is in, buyers and sellers or flipping like overall?
It's
because I've heard there's a lot of money in flipping houses. Because my grandfather he owns a law firm, but he kind of does
flips here and there.
Yeah, flips here and there. Yeah. So I've heard that does really good, but I've always been curious: is that where all the money's at, or is it better?
I mean, it's tough if you're doing a bunch of them at once. Then it can definitely pay off more so than helping people buy and sell. But it's also what sales volume are you buying and selling at?
Yeah.
Because if you're helping people buy $1 million properties, you're getting huge checks.
Oh yeah,
in 30 days.
Yeah, so
if you're not flipping $1 million properties, 'cause even if you were, your net take home isn't going to be that million because you have maybe you bought the property for 200, but then you put another 150 in it. Well, now you're in it 350, so then you really have to sell it for like 500. To make 150, but then you still need to put money away for capital gains taxes. So it's like you really only made 75.
So with the when you're flipping houses, do you have to pay? Is it like just getting a loan from a bank to buy that house, and then, or do you have to pay?
Cash. So there's banks that do like short term lending. So it's pretty much like on a 1 year balloon to where that note is due within a year. So you want to get in there and crank it out. Yeah.
And so what happens is if you don't sell it, you got to pay that money back.
Yeah, well, or you have to refinance it.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's one of those where we anticipate 90 to 120, so 3 to 4 months on a rehab, and then we anticipate to sell pretty quickly because we price it right in order for it to sell quick. So anywhere between 5 to 6 months from purchase to actual closed funded checks in our hand. So my wife bought a property January 10th, and we hit the market April, I think early April, and we just closed check in our hand last week.
Oh, that's pretty quick turnaround.
6 months,
yeah.
About 6 months. And so that was that one. But during that time, we bought, I think we bought one or two other ones. So it's that pipeline.
Yeah.
So where our pipeline for helping people buy and sell is 8 to 12, then we'll have 2 or 3 in the flip pipeline because we know that those are more lump sum payouts.
Right.
And this is that quicker money that we get paid instantly once we close. So
it's dope.
That is dope.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice, but it takes time.
It's like,
One of those,
it sounds like
you got to have a good team. That not only just on the buying and selling with your agents, but you have to have a good contractor team. You got to know. It goes into a lot because you got to know city code whenever you're doing things because we do everything legit through permits and stuff like that. So everything has to get passed and approved on, and we don't cut corners at all. So just make sure that everything's solid and good to go.
So is it kind of like real estate's like kind of like your own? You don't have to clock in, clock out every day, right? Or do you?
Not technically. I don't log into ADP and put in my employee number or nothing like that. No, but I'm a 24/7 grinder. So it's one of those. You call me at 9 o'clock in the morning, and you call me at 11:30 at night. Yeah. Hey, this Cameron. How can I help you?
But do you have like a supervisor or something that's like on you, like, hey, you're not selling enough, or obviously you don't have that problem. No,
so I was like, yeah. Well, so I'm the team lead.
Oh, okay. So you're kind of that guy.
I do that.
Okay.
Kind of like we have. We call it pipeline review every Monday, and so where we go in, we have like our team meeting, meet with the agents, kind of see where they're at, anything that I can help them with, and whatnot. So just kind of because the better that they do, the better that I do.
Yeah.
Ultimately, so I want them to be able to sell and sell and sell and sell. So because then I wind up making a little portion off of what they do with me, not really ultimately doing anything with it, and then I do my own stuff.
Okay.
So
what is I'm really curious. Like, what is like how many hours in a day? I know you said like 24/7, but how many hours in a day do you actually spend like hands-on, like working, like whether it's like marketing or doing something?
I feel like it's 24/7.
Yeah.
I mean, my phone's always ringing. Or I'm always posting something on social media, or somebody's calling me, texting me about something. But probably like just like legit hours. I mean, 8 to 10.
So about like
kind of like a job.
Yeah.
But it's but whereas a job it would be between 9 to 5, 8 to 6, whatever it is. It's an all day thing. I may talk to a client for 5 minutes at 11 o'clock at night. I'm working.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm on the phone in my PJs chilling on my couch, but technically I'm working.
Yeah.
So if you add up 5 minutes there, 5 minutes here, but it's like you're always a walking advertisement. So I'm always wearing shirts or passing. I'll be at the grocery store just listening to people's conversations. If I hear something about a house or so and so, boom, hey, I heard you say something about a house. I'm Cameron. I'm a real estate agent. I'd love to help you out. I always have cards on me. So technically, I'm working while I'm grocery shopping.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those. The more people that know about you, more people that know what you do, they're gonna reach out and they're gonna work with you.
Yeah, that's what's up.
I guess now, before I get into the questions, you said something about like walking advertisement. Mm-hmm. When did you start? Was that something always important to you? Like, just kind of like always advertising yourself and knowing that you got to like pass out the cards and talk to people? Or when did you realize like, I really got to do this?
Yeah, no. So luckily I come from a sales background with this, with the bank that I worked for before real estate. They were really heavy on like new account production and getting, just bringing in new clientele. So it's one of those, we were always actively cross-selling products and stuff like that. So I was at the bank for 4 years while I was in college, and then I have a business degree where that's all they taught us was, marketing classes, business administration, follow-up and stuff like that. So I've been around business since the Stone Age, pretty much since adulthood.
Yeah.
So that really helped me kind of knowing that business and knowing what I had to do. And I was a top seller at the company too, employee of the year throughout the whole company and stuff like that. So just coming from that and knowing like, hey, if I want to do that again, but on a bigger scale where, this company that I work with had 300 branches, the bank, where now there's millions of agents. If I could be the number one banker at a 300 branch company, why can't I be the number one realtor in the U.S.?
Yeah.
I'm far from anything like that because there's people pushing, billions in sales volume.
Yeah.
But those are the ones that been in for so long. They have teams of hundreds of agents.
Yeah.
And so I guess I'm behind. I'm behind them because Texas requires me to be in 4 years, and I can't fast forward time.
Yeah.
And so, but that's why I've developed my team. I have my game plan going into September, October to become a broker, and then kind of go that route, and then that's when things will really, really take off. So
yeah. So I guess I'll get into some questions that I wrote down. The biggest one is, should you buy a house right now?
Man, there's a saying.
I already know what you're gonna say. You said this last time, I think.
Did I?
I think so.
I didn't hear it.
I probably did. It was it's like the best time to buy a house was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
It's one of those where it's not a short-term gain. It's one of those where you sit on it, and eventually, even if you don't make the equity that you wanted to make in it within year one or year two, it's gonna happen. It has to happen. It's just property value. It's what it does. There's some stocks that turn overnight. You just made 20%. Great, but then that next day you lost 30%. So now you're negative 10. Houses just have that historical exponential growth of over time. It's that long-term asset. So if you were to buy a property 5 years ago for $200,000, imagine what you could sell it for right now.
Yep. And then
nothing compared to what a stock would be paying you.
Yeah, it's correct.
Go ahead. I was gonna say, what's your objection then? Like, but Cameron, interest rates are getting higher.
Yeah. So for things like that, we always take into consideration payments. We don't want somebody to be what we call house poor, where all they can do is just afford their house. So we say, let's look at properties that are in your okay budget. Who cares what the interest rate is? Let's look at what your budget is, and let's find you a house that meets that budget. And then we'll look at it from there. If we can't find anything at this time, then, we can revisit it later on, or what can we do in order to increase your budget? Maybe you're paying $700 on a car that you bought 10 years ago that you didn't even know that you could refinance and get that payment down $300. down to $300 because you only owe $5K left on it.
Yeah.
Even if that rate were to go up just a little bit, but with that from $700 a month to $300 a month, now you have $400 more a month that you can then apply to your house approval. That is huge.
Yeah.
That's like $100,000 more. So if you were just looking at houses at 120, now we can look at the houses at 220. Now you're getting that grand at countertops. Now you're getting those properties that you really want. So I go beyond just helping you, just look at houses. I go beyond being a glorified door opener. That's what a lot of people like to call realtors or whatnot. But I like that financial planning. I like being that, that advisor to you. And, how can I make your financial life better? And then, of course, get you into a property that's going to build you that long-term equity. And then once you get that equity, you're going to call me back. And then again, I'm of course, I'm in the business to make money too. So I made money off of you buying it. And then I'm going to make money whenever you call me back to sell it. But not only am I making money, I'm putting X amount back in your pocket because of that investment that I helped you buy X amount of years ago. So it's just being that financial advisor and then just always following up. Clients that I helped close in like 2018 and 2019, now that they've been in the property for 3-4 years, they have equity. So I'm reaching out to them. There'll be sometimes like, hey, hey Sue, just wanted to touch base with you. I know I helped you buy, 123 Anywhere Street. How are things going? Any life changes to where you've thought about maybe selling? I'd love to give you a market analysis. And maybe I just so happened to run that market analysis before I called you. And now I'm saying, hey, I know we bought the property at 150. I'm looking at the market right now. I could probably put it on the market for 275. After all closing costs, that's netting you about 120,000. Would that be something that you're interested in? 120,000. Yeah. Can you come over today at 5? See you then. Boom. That's just off of just a past client that I've already have a relationship with that cost me $0 in marketing ads or anything to make that 5-minute phone call and to run that quick little comparable market analysis just to see. And so, and if they say no, they don't care. Well, at least you touch base with that client again. Yeah. And then they remembered your name. Yeah. Maybe they're going to have a conversation with their daughter, later on who's thinking about buying a house. And, I just talked to Cameron. Let me give you his number. Boom. So referral basis right there. So it's always that follow-up, touch and base.
What were you going to ask, bro?
Well, it was just more of like a statement. I was going to say, I think he mentioned something about like selling. People are selling like equity and stuff like that. Like the housing market booming and doing what it is right now is kind of piggybacked over to the car business because a lot of people are selling their houses and then wanting to move into like a camper or an RV or a travel trailer or something. They're selling their houses and making a ton of money and then coming over and buying a truck to tow their travel trailers or whatever. So it's kind of, and I've heard these crazy stories about people doubling, tripling, quadrupling what they pay for a house in equity, bro. Like there's this guy, I sold a few cars to him. He moved to Georgia or something, but he only lived in a house for like a year. It's where I used to live when I rented that house over in Lorena. But he bought it and then he sold it for like way more than he bought it for. And he only bought it like a year prior to when he sold it. And he just made a ton of money on it. And like, it was on the market for like 2 hours, bro.
That's what I'm saying.
And then he moved, packed his family, he retired. He was already about to retire anyways. It's not like he made money and then just retired with it.
Hey, good lottery ticket. That boy made some.
He retired, took his family out, bought a farm in Georgia, and now he's like doing his thing. But he was telling me about it. I was like, bro, that is nuts. I kind of wish I was in a position to buy a house that many years ago. But
it's kind of where we'll go back to go where he said you should buy real estate 5 years ago.
Yep.
Yeah, but I wasn't even. Well, how old am I?
Yeah, you were like 21.
So the biggest thing is to make sure that in 5 years you're not looking back at this video like, damn it, I should have hit him up after the show to buy a house.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't want you to be in that
I actually just now got in the criteria where I'm able to even think about buying a house because
for 1099 for 2 years.
Yeah.
Doing taxes.
But see, I'm not even 1099. I'm W-2, but they told me with any commission-based job, you have to show consistent income or something for 2 years. I know so I just crossed that 2-year mark. So now I can, because I was thinking about it like when I first got the job, I was like, wow.
Money's good.
Money's good. Like it's time to buy a house. And they were like, nah, you got to wait 2 years. You got to, because you might be doing now, but it's inconsistent. You got to make sure.
Yeah. It's the same thing as we're 1099. So we have to be in it to show 2 full years worth of tax returns. Yeah. That way it's not like you had a super great year one and then you're just
flop the next year. Yeah. I guess that's any commission based, like probably even like servers and waiters. Yeah. Probably same thing like with them too.
Have you ever had any like because hopefully one day, I believe this is going to work out. Let's say I'm like, hey, I have my podcast, making money off my podcast. How can I get approved for a house? It's the same thing. Like,
yeah, so it's just going to be your income.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to show, however, if you make money now off of, Spotify, YouTube, stuff like that, just however, because they're going to want your tax returns. So however you wind up getting paid from these different
whatever.
And stuff. Yeah, whoever winds up giving you a deal or whatnot.
So it still apply like 1099 then?
Yeah, that's how they
like
wind
2
up.
years.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. Interesting. So is there, I guess, going off that, is there like a bad thing, or what's a bad experience, buying a house, or a bad situation,
I mean, things like inspections come out bad, which always sucks, because it's like you finally got that house locked in. Maybe we submitted 2 or 3 offers on other properties, we got beat out, but we finally got that house locked in. Now we're in our option period and doing an inspection, and the roof's bad. The roof needs to be replaced. Well, that's not necessarily a deal killer. There's different avenues that we can go across. One, we can replace the roof ourselves. 2, we can ask the sellers to do it. We can, a lot of times, if the seller used to like own that property, and it wasn't just like they flipped it or whatnot, they have home insurance. Where they could possibly put in a claim with their home insurance and get it bought off by the insurance, where all they're coming out of pocket is their deductible, which could be $1,000, $1,500 for a brand new roof that's typically $7,000 or $8,000. So a seller, in order to sell their property, if they only have to pay $1,000 to keep that buyer and to replace that roof,
get the deal done.
Yeah, a lot of times they will do that, but there's some that are, nope, I'm not going to do nothing. Buyer has no money, or doesn't have any money to go towards a roof, and the deal dies because the buyers didn't want to buy a house with a damaged or tore up roof, and so now you're kind of back to square one, back to house looking, and so things like that is always tough. Appraisals. So appraisal is where like the lender sends out somebody to go appraise the value to it. It's a third party person. Nobody connected with the buyer, sellers, or the lenders. It's just a third party consideration of value, just to make sure that that buyer isn't overpaying, for the property.
Yeah,
stuff like that. So
I think there's like, because one of my questions was like, what's the pros and what's the cons of buying a house?
Yeah,
kind of already answered a lot of the pros. You don't think there's any cons in? Because it doesn't sound like there is.
Well, I mean, the only con is that if there's a leaky faucet, there's no, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Landlord, come fix this. It's
you gotta fix it.
YouTube video. How do I fix a leaky faucet?
YouTube University.
So it's yours. That welcome to home ownership type of thing.
So I always get the question like selling cars. People are always like, well, if I buy a car right now, what if the market crashes? And then because cars they lose equity more than anything else. Like, they're the most depreciating asset, or I wouldn't even call it an asset. They depreciate more than pretty much anything else. Yeah. So people always ask me, like, if I buy this car, what's going to happen in a year or two if the market crashes? So do you ever get that in houses? Like, people skeptical to buy a house because they're like, so if I buy a house right now for this great big amount, it's an unheard of time. What's going to happen when the market crashes? And do people worry about that kind of stuff?
No, people definitely do. And so it kind of just comes down to just managing that expectation with them. That's what's good about the appraisals. So like I said, they're the third party, and they're going to go in and make sure that buyer isn't overpaying for the property. So they're paying the current market value for it. So of course nobody knows what's going to happen in the future, but if things do go down, house prices decrease, significantly, then people do look to sell or look to try to refinance some way, or whatnot. But it's always going to be that what if happens. Yeah. But it's just kind of one of those where you weather it out, you deal with it, and just kind of know that it's a roller coaster. It'll go down a little bit, and it'll shoot back up. You just kind of ride it out. The house is a long term. It's gonna be ups and downs. Yeah. Historically speaking, a lot more ups. Yeah. Historically speaking, and so if history repeats itself, like everybody says that it does, I'm sure there's going to be another 08, 09 era where things significantly decrease.
Do you think that's going to happen right now?
I don't think necessarily.
I know that's really a bold question, but
I think in the next few years, I think
things are just kind of going to level out. Like I said, so rates and stuff like that are the same where they were 4 years ago whenever I first got in. And things were booming.
And like that's the thing. Like I'm under the impression rates are like hot, right?
Yeah.
Because I have a conversation, And it's just like, oh, what if the rates are high? And then now knowing, well, like if the rates are the same they were in 2018, 2019, you're not really like losing much. It's you're not putting yourself in a bad situation.
People got spoiled, bro, from COVID. Like it's everything.
All the rates, I guess
rates, so low, bro.
They're normal. So if people are thinking 2 or 3 is normal, that's not normal.
Yeah,
you know,
that's low.
That's abnormal. Yeah, it's very, very low. So
and that's why maybe you guys were popping.
So they're not managing, their agent or whoever that they're talking to. They're not managing the expectations of what rates typically are. So,
okay, so like let's say I go to you now too, and it's like, hey Cam, I want to buy a house, whatever, and you kind of just you start taking care of me, and it's just like, why do you think it's important for me to buy a house? You know, just in general, like why do you think real estate's important for someone or anybody?
Yeah, well,
in Texas to buy a home.
I mean, really, somebody that wants to achieve the American dream of home ownership. You know, it's a personal purchase for me. And that I tell a lot of my clients, growing up, unfortunately, I didn't have that one house. I think I counted like 13 times.
Jesus.
From house to house to house. And so for me, it's that I finally have a place to call home.
Mm-hmm.
And for a lot of people, they can be in that same situation, that they finally have that place that they can call, this is mine, type of thing. So it's that pride. One thing there, investors. I love working with investors because I help them, navigate how much they're going to make, how much they're going to wind up renovating it for. So that way they know, like, hey, this is actually a really good buy. I'm about to cash out 40, 50 grand, over a 3-month time. Where else are you going to do that at?
Yeah.
Unless you're getting paid a job, $10,000 a month, which that's not minimum wage, type of thing. So that's a great opportunity for somebody that's in a position to do something like that. So buying a house, and that's why I always like to talk to my clients, like, hey, why do you want to do this, and kind of let you tell me kind of what your wants and desires are, and then I just kind of ride with it, because whatever you want, I want, because ultimately we both going to get what we want at the end of the day. So,
and then, this one's very broad, and maybe you can answer it differently, but it's just, do you think everyone should buy a house? It's a tough question
because I also own rental properties, so I need people to rent.
Yeah,
so that way I can cover my.
Or I think what fits the criteria for someone who wants to buy a house versus someone who wants to rent a house?
Yeah, so somebody who just moved into a city.
So back to the criteria versus someone who rents.
Yeah, so people, young college kids, they're not going to buy a house. They're going to need to rent. Typically, they even just rent out one room, and all the college friends just kind of pitch in towards that total rent. Maybe somebody who just got hired on at a job. Well, there is loan requirements where you have to be with your job for a certain amount of time before you can even qualify for a mortgage. So typically those people are renting. Maybe people like travel nurses and stuff that are only here for 3-4 months at a time, and then they move to the next city. So people that are constantly on the go and maybe not really need that set place, renting works for you. Mm-hmm. But if you're this is my career, this is my job, this is my city, this is where I'm going to be, why would you rent? Because you're literally just throwing money in a shredder. When even if you only plan to be in Waco for 5 years, then you should be buying. Yeah. Because what's the average return? Look at this property that you might buy. How much was it worth 5 years ago? And what are you about to put an offer in on it? Imagine that in 5 years. If you're like, hey, I'm only gonna live here 12 months. Okay, don't buy. If you're going to be here I'd say anywhere from 2+, you should be looking into buying, because it's just going to be an equity. It's just going to be a check in your pocket, rather than if you're paying $1,000 a month for 2 years, $24,000. Yeah, that you literally can have to say you've done absolutely nothing with. Yeah. Yep. Except for just if I'm the landlord, I just made 24 grand. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Why do you think? Because, I live in an apartment complex, right? Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of people, everybody here rents. It's passive income, whoever owns, or if it's a company, whatever, right? Yeah. So why do you think a lot of people, including myself, maybe don't go buying the house way? Why don't they go that route?
Maybe they don't feel confident that they have the ability to. Mm-hmm. Young entrepreneurs, maybe haven't made enough money off of this yet. Or whatever the case maybe is, maybe you just don't know the first step. And again, that's where if you know somebody in the business, hit me up. I'll be more than happy to kind of show you, do the steps with you. we always go through the lender to ensure, what programs you qualify for, where you stand, a max approval range and stuff like that. A lot of people think that you need to have the best credit score. You got to have all this money, in the bank and whatnot. And ultimately you really don't. So if it's even the slightest thing on your mind, reach out. I'd love the opportunity to at least have that conversation with you, educate you. And so maybe if you're truly not in the position right now, that's fine. But whenever, I can help you get there. And when you are there, let's go. So.
Interesting. Good info. Do you want to say anything? Any real estate before I kind of shift the conversation?
Oh, well, just kind of piggyback off that because I know my biggest thing, other than not being able to qualify to buy a house because my job.
But now you could.
Now I could, but my biggest thing is because I'm so I get tired of things really fast. I always want something else, something new. So I think my biggest thing is not knowing if I'm able to settle. Mm-hmm. I've always wanted to find the perfect house. Mostly everybody I know in my family builds. Yeah. So I've always wanted to build, but I'm just not sure about the location because I'm not even from here. I'm not from Texas. So that's another one of my things is how long I'm obviously going to be here for 18 more years or, my son's 2. So at least 16 more years. No. So my thing has always been what am I going to, where do I want to be? Where, when my kids are with me, I want it to make sure it's a safe area. Yeah. There's just so many things, especially when you have kids and me and the mother aren't together. So there's a bunch of variables and I'm just not sure. So I don't know if that's just, I was just thinking out loud.
That's one of those, you make that checklist and I tell people, it's the 70% rule. If we can find a property that meets 70% of what you want, then we should probably move with it. Yeah. That 30% probably isn't that much. And if it is, majority is we can probably upgrade it, over time. Mm-hmm. If it's countertops you want upgraded, that's a simple fix. That's a weekend project to upgrade your house. The big things is going to be location, school district, if your kids are with you. Those are going to be things that we can't change very quickly. So you're going to have to set those criterias, and then we just kind of niche and pick off of things that are in that pocket area that you're cool with.
Yeah, and I think that's my biggest con about renting is because I always want to do something. I want projects or something, and when you're renting something, you can't make it your own.
Exactly.
It's this is what you live in. This is how it is. That's the end all be all. You can't do nothing with it. But when you own something, hey, I want to add a swimming pool or I want to add a screen-in porch or something. That's kind of
freedom.
God, yeah. The freedom is why I want to buy so bad, but it's just not knowing exactly what I want. I'm sure a lot of people are like that too.
My biggest thing is I find getting a house just scary.
It is.
I don't know why.
It's the biggest purchase you'll ever make in your life. Yeah.
But I'm sure that I pay close to, rent than probably what a mortgage would cost. Because I think that's the biggest thing that
nowadays,
people have. Yeah. Well, that's my biggest thing. Is what if I can't afford the payment?
Yeah. Well, that's the biggest thing is that we figure out what you would be approved for, because just if we after this, if we have you apply and then you're approved up to 200,000, right, and then we can see what that monthly payment is. Say that monthly payment is $1,500. Well, if you're already paying $1,200, it's $300 more. Mm-hmm. Is there something, car refinance or credit card debt that you just make the minimum payment on just because you want to, that you could ultimately pay off and get rid of it to average out that gap and whatnot. So it's always things that, or if you're hey, I can't afford anything more than $1,200, then you don't have to max out your approval every time, But then we go down to see, okay, well, what would be the sales price of a house with the payment at $1,200, and then we take that into consideration and we look at properties at that value and below. And that's it.
Yeah. What's crazy is so remember the house I was telling you about that I lived in earlier in Lorena. I was renting it, and
you talking about Lorena or Hewitt, where we used to record?
No, not that place. Okay. The really nice house I had in Lorena.
I never seen it.
You never seen it? Mm-mm. Okay. Well, I rented it for a while when I first got in the car business. So I lived in a neighborhood, and I sold cars to a lot of people in this neighborhood. It's all Stylecraft and D.R. Horton homes.
So you're in Park Meadows?
I was in Park Meadows, yeah.
So the fact that you knew that.
It's I was in Park Meadows. So I had a lot of customers that bought cars from me that lived in Park Meadows, and a lot of them had very similar houses to what I had. And their mortgage, when they were filling out the credit app, obviously they have to put what their mortgage is. their mortgage for some of them guys were like $1,000 less than what I paid in rent.
For real?
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
Like,
but you got to think they could have been the Park Meadows has been around probably about 2014, 2015 or so. So the people that first got into phase 1 and phase 2, where those houses were 180, 200.
yeah.
You're not buying in Park Meadows for under 300 anymore.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah.
Wow.
Park Meadows is water on a hot day.
Bro,
That's
that's
quick.
yeah.
Yep.
That's
I love
I would
listing in Park
love
Meadows.
I would love to
Sells
live
quick.
in Park Meadows. Like, that was the best neighborhood I've ever lived in, bro. Like, there were kids every day walking around, riding their bikes. Like, I had no worries that anything was going to happen. So that's where I would like to live, in that same general area. But gosh, them houses are, whew.
Yeah.
I mean, not as much as some houses, but
Well, the thing what's good about those neighborhoods is that they're growing and growing. Like, they just opened up I think it's Enclave.
yeah, like right over there beside it.
So
Yeah,
like the more luxury side of it. So as those start to build and just increase in value, ultimately, like, yeah, you're paying X amount right now, but it's that long-term gain later on.
yeah. And that's the dude I was telling you about earlier that lived with me, and then after a year of buying it, he like doubled his.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he lived in Park Meadows. It was like one of the really nicer houses of Park Meadows, but yeah, he like got a huge return, and it sold in like hours, literally as soon as it hit the market.
Yeah.
That's what it does.
So I guess now, I mean, towards the market shifting to what it was, I mean, how do you see it going for you? Do you see any really major changes, I guess? Because now that, I mean, talking to you, it doesn't sound like much is going to change. Just because.
Yeah, not much. More than likely on our end, you know, we may go down to.
You mean like our end as far as like you, or as in Texas?
No, my end. Me and my wife's end. Yeah. So not much is gonna go on our end. Probably the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
There will be a significant decline for many, but it's gonna be it's a dog eat dog world. It's gonna be those that don't want to grind, that don't want to make those cold calls, that are where you were doing maybe 3 or 4 transactions that may go down to 1 and 2, and that's half your income right there. And so you got to get out here, and I mean, you got to hustle. Whenever the going gets tough, you got to hustle that much more. And whenever business is just flowing in, you gotta you can't ride that out, because one, you never know, 3 or 4 of those could just fall out for whatever reason. Buyer could get hurt and then on the job and then no longer be able to work, and now they're out of work for 6 months. Well, they don't qualify anymore, so that deal went gone. And so it's always one of those that no matter the time, you're always shooting for 2, 3, 4 months in advance and building that pipeline, because you just anticipate, I have 20 under contract, that's great, but I bet you 5 or 6 of them are going to fall through. So don't count 20 closings times X amount of money that you think you're going to make. Divide that in half.
Yeah.
And budget off of that.
Gotcha.
So.
I guess before we end, do you have questions?
I just had one more question.
Yeah.
Was there ever a point, like, because I know this has happened to me a lot, and it still happens to me. Even it doesn't matter how good I'm doing. There's always that thing in the back of my mind where I feel like I want to do something else. Do you have? And I think it's because I always knew I got into the car business by accident.
A different career.
Yeah. So but my different career is I want to do real estate.
Gotcha.
Car sales has never been my end all be all.
Yeah.
Blah blah. So it's always in the back of my head, like when's a good time that I should start or whatever. But has there ever been a point in your like career, real estate career, not your whole career, but like your real estate past 4 years, that you've been like, I feel like I should be doing something else, or I want to do something else, or I want to go to the next level, or like what is the next level after?
Well, the next level is broker.
Yeah.
Yep. And then after broker, I mean, that's it title wise. But it's like you have the unlimited cap of, I can have a small brokerage of 10, or I can have a big agent of a big brokerage of 1,000.
Yeah.
How big do I really want to be? Type of thing. But I mean, ultimately, my dream job would be a MLB pitcher. But I'm 5'8". I could probably throw a ball about 65, 70. So I'm not going to make that cut. But if I had the opportunity, that would be my dream job.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
Probably never will be.
Hey, never know.
I know practice it. Right? But if I had the ability to pick any career, that's exactly what I would go and be. But unfortunately, I'm not there. So, growing up, I always wanted to be an accountant.
Okay.
And so I love numbers. I love spreadsheets. When people ask me math questions and stuff like that, I'm like a calculator in my head. I'm just like, oh, I'm so happy.
Yeah.
I just love numbers. But then I wound up in college. That was my first major, was accounting. I got into like the intermediate classes, intermediate like 2 and 3. I realized this is not for me. Yeah. It wasn't what I really thought that it was, because it's more behind the scenes rather than, hey, look at me, I'm Cam, look at all this stuff that I'm doing.
Yeah.
You're not really like that as an accountant. You're kind of more to yourself,
right?
To your clients, because you're handling, everybody's business transactions. As a realtor, I really like it because you're kind of like a celebrity in town.
Yeah.
I'm not, Tom Cruise or somebody like that, on the TV, but a lot of people see my Facebook videos. I'm going to HEB, to Walmart all the time. People are, hey, you're Cam. Hey, you're with the CCG team. Like, I can't tell you one time that I've gone out since probably in the last 2-3 years that somebody doesn't know me and I have no clue who they are, but they know that I'm in real estate and they'll just talk to me about houses. That's so crazy. It gives you that opportunity to be famous, kind of where you're at.
Okay.
So.
That's pretty dope.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions? Not right now. After?
Maybe later.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how do you, I don't even want to ask you like that. I was going to say, how do you feel about, like, I guess just the market in general? Like, do you pay much attention to it? Do you let that stuff get to you? Gas prices, the stock market.
Oh man, gas prices is killer, man. I mean, I don't think it doesn't matter how much money you have, but if you're paying double for anything that what you're usually paying, I mean, you feel it. Yeah. I mean, regardless, I'm gonna buy gas anyways. Yeah. But it's one of those, like, I hate that it's going up, and I hate even more that it's doubled. And I just read an article like 45 minutes ago, like on my way here. I was reading it while driving, which I shouldn't have done, but it popped up on my email, and it was like, so typical like write-offs for your gas mileage is like 58.5 cents for like 1099 employees, like for us that write off their mileage. Well, they doubled our gas prices, but all they added was 4 cents for our write-off.
Wow.
Like,
it's kind of bogus.
Yeah, so now it's 62.5 cents.
That is crazy.
I'm like, so I'm not sure how 4 cents equates to double what we're paying in gas, but it's like, if you're going to do stuff like that, we got to make it up on the back end somewhere. It's like something like that's just a slap in the face. Like, it's going to help. I'm super appreciative of it. 4 cents is going to go a long way whenever I'm driving, 100,000 miles for the rest of the year, which is cool. But should it be 25, 30 cents? Most definitely. So.
See, I didn't even know about like stuff like that.
Yeah,
and so that's what
1099 employees though.
Right? So you always kind of know your tax write-offs. I have my own accountant that handles everything, but that I've been dealing with for like 3-4 years now. So I kind of know what I need to be taking into consideration and whatnot, and keep saving receipts for. But just something like that is like it's dumb. Like if you're gonna be charging us like that, then give it back to us on the back end.
So I guess, like, to really just end the podcast, what's like the biggest thing you can say, or the most important thing you'll say to someone who's looking to buy a home? Like.
Well, first call me. It's a good thing. There's 10 steps to buying a house. The first one is to call me, and the other 9, just let me do it.
Yeah.
But no, ultimately, I mean, just reach out. I love the opportunity. I'm going to educate you regardless if you want the education or not.
I think that's super important.
Yeah, if you just come to me and all you're like, Cameron, I want to buy a house. Cameron, I want to buy a house. That's great. I'm not one of those where I'm just going to shoot you over to the lender, get you approved, and start showing you houses. That's the route that a lot of people go. I'm going to get you to the lender. I'm going to educate you. I'm going to let you know, like, hey, if we do this, these are your payments. Are you okay with this? I always make sure that you are solid on your end, because what I don't want is for us to rush into so many things. You realize that you cannot buy this house the week before closing. And now if you try to back out, which it's going to be really tough for you to back out, you're going to lose everything that you put into it. So your inspection costs, your option fees, your earnest money more than likely. So you're already invested on day one that we put a property under contract, a couple grand. And so for some people where you're penny pinching already, if we're just rushing into it and you're not educating, you're not really, really comfortable in there, and you try to back out, you're going to really hurt yourself. Or you're going to go through with it, and then I'm going to feel bad because you're ultimately not that happy with this $2,000 a month mortgage where you were just paying rent for $800. but you really, really love the house and whatnot, and now you're going to call me in 6 months to try to sell it, where you might not have that much equity after all closing costs and stuff, to where, you know, you have to wind up paying to sell it, or you're really not going to walk away with anything. So, I mean, the biggest thing is just going to be, you know, reach out. If you don't reach out to me, then reach out to somebody on my team, for sure. You know, because I try to help coach them and train them to be the image of me whenever I'm not there, ultimately. So I want everybody to have a nice, you know, clean, happy, you know, process buying what could be the biggest purchase, you know, in their life.
Cool.
Let's go buy a McLaren, like somebody.
Oh,
you know,
is that what you got?
I sold it.
You sold it?
I sold it, yeah. So
I was about to say, did you drive it here? I've never seen one.
Yeah. So I sold it. I sold it here recently. Spoiler alert: I'm having another baby.
Oh yeah, I seen that yesterday. Having a boy. Congratulations.
Yes,
How many do you have already?
Yeah, so we have 2 right now, and then 1 in the oven.
Nice.
Tomorrow.
Congratulations.
One in the oven. One's
Tomorrow
cooking.
should be 13 weeks.
Yeah.
So coming due date December 28th. So
Oh, that's exciting.
Finally got a little boy.
Nice.
So super excited. But yeah, so we found out, and I was like, I need to start getting rid of some liabilities we were talking about. So I wound up selling that, and then bought another house rental. So I bought an asset right there, and then we're about to buy some land. We actually closed on Thursday. Buying some land, 5 acres in between Belmead and Elmont, to build our forever home.
Nice.
So
That's exciting.
I'm kind of curious about the McLaren. Did it?
My baby.
Did it? How long did you have it?
8 months.
Did it depreciate or appreciate?
No, I lost a little bit.
Lost a little bit. I'm sure it wasn't like how much it would have been in a normal world, because I know cars right now are.
Yeah, no, they told me that I was getting a really good trade-in value.
Yeah.
Which of course I was going to tell me that.
Yeah, of course.
Sure. But it made sense to me. You know, of course I lost a little bit of money with the down payment and stuff like that. But I didn't lose enough, because of course I always run the numbers. I wasn't losing enough to where I was going to be really mad at myself for doing it.
Yeah.
You know, if I was losing tens and thousands, then I may have not even done it. I may have just weathered it out.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm losing pennies, you know, type of thing, to then be able to put me in a situation, because I wanted to free up some debt to income, you know, because I had that liability of the car payment, plus insurance when I bought it, I was 25, 26. So I'm 27 now. But my insurance for it was another car payment, pretty much. My insurance was like 600. So the car payment plus that together was like $2,100 a month. And I was like, I can turn $2,100 a month payment into how many houses?
Yeah.
You know, I could turn it into like 3 flips. I could turn it into 2 rentals. Or what I did was I bought a rental, and then we're buying this land. So it's like I'm buying assets, things that are going to make me money way long, down the road, rather than having the car, which the car I always get back, you know, later on.
Yeah.
So
Think you'll buy another one?
Probably not a McLaren. I mean, my dream is a Huracan.
Okay. Unfortunately, I don't sell those, but.
Hey, we just go work at. I bought a McLaren Dallas. So
they have a McLaren dealership?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, McLaren Dallas, and then they have McLaren Houston and Austin.
Oh,
heck yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. So no more McLaren.
No more.
That's
but,
unfortunate.
Hey, more properties.
What do you have now? You said you bought a Charger from Robert?
Nah, I sold. I go through cars like anything. No, Kia.
Okay.
I bought that. My buddy. So if you want a car from Alan Samuels, go to my homeboy. But if you want a Kia, go to my boy Trey at University
I know.
of Kia.
Well, I don't know him personally, but I know I've heard of him.
Yeah.
Facebook stuff. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. No, he's cool. He's a good guy.
Cool.
So.
All right. Anything else you want to say before we go, bro?
That would definitely. Thanks for having me on again. Yeah. You know, it's always
appreciate the education.
No, for sure.
I learned a lot on this one.
Yeah, I feel like I learned a lot.
Yeah, and then to the people watching, you know, buying and selling real estate, definitely reach out to me. I love the opportunity to not only be your realtor, you know, one time, but I like to pride myself on being your realtor for life, and to really educate you and make sure that you're making the right decisions. So ultimately, you are repeat business, and you do send your, you know, friends and family over to me.
Well said, guys. Well, guys, we'll do more of this stuff, like this type of content, you know, realtor, doctor, restaurant owner. I want to have those people in, kind of tell us really what's going on, the insights of the business. And just, I want to entertain people. I want people to get educated. And I think this is super educational today. And, I don't think there's much to be scared of right now in the market we're in, maybe right now, to buy a house. So I'm like, okay, it's not that bad as I thought it was. So yeah.
No, we'll be good. And
Yeah.
like I said, as long as you're budgeting and making sense, because you know what you're paying right now, and you know for rent for the apartment, we'll look at, you know, how much can that actually get you in a house. It may not equate to this level of, you know, luxury, or I haven't even looked around and whatnot, see how upgraded it is, but it may not equate dollar for dollar, but it's one of those where, okay, you could spend an extra $200 to $300 and have something that's 100% yours and what you want, or you can keep paying for what you have now.
Yeah.
That's not making you anything.
Yep. All right. Anything you want to say before we go?
I don't think so. I think I've about said everything I thought. I'll probably think of something, but
all right.
No. Yeah.
Well, guys, I appreciate everyone who's listened to the podcast. Make sure you leave a like, share, subscribe. If you listen to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you know, just share it, listen to it. If you can, leave a review. Let us know how we did. And hopefully I can put this out tomorrow. If you listen to this tomorrow, I probably stayed up a while tonight. But I do it because I love it. And see you guys next week, guys. Peace. We'll have someone exciting, too.
Sweet.
I remember.